I have done a video about the so-called Uyghur Tribunal. This was organized in the UK, not by the UK. It was organized by the World Uyghur Congress. They initiated it, they funded it, they even had staff members doing translations and interpretation for it. And I exposed how the World Uyghur Congress is actually funded by the US government through the National Endowment for Democracy. This is the US government's funding arm for political interference around the globe, and they have a whole section titled Xinjiang, East Turkestan. Now, East Turkestan does not exist. This is only what separatists, extremists, and terrorists call Xinjiang, China, and also apparently their state sponsors, because the US government is listing it as Xinjiang/East Turkestan. Now, here's the World Uyghur Congress. This is the amount of money in US dollars they get every year from the US government. So what was the Uyghur Tribunal? It's a separatist organization funded by the US government doing theater, made to look like some sort of legal tribunal. Now, they admit that it had no real legally binding power. It's not recognized by any legal system nationally or internationally. The Western media still tried to portray this as some sort of, legitimate, meaningful undertaking, because it's not actually a real tribunal. It really is theater. And I made a video showing how a lot of the testimony given in front of the tribunal was given by people who belong to US government-funded separatist organizations. And a lot of these statements had huge holes in them. They were inconsistent. They contradicted themselves. There were written statements, and then there were spoken statements given by each person. And sometimes the written statement would not match the spoken statement. So that was a problem. And now I've found another inconsistency among one of their star witnesses, the supposed former Chinese police officer who fled the country, received asylum in Germany, where the World Uyghur Congress is officially based, coincidentally. And he claims that he was in Xinjiang and he took part in all of this. And so that's what makes him a star witness. He claims he's not just one of the victims, he's one of the perpetrators who did it. Now, CNN actually exposed this huge inconsistency. They pretty much completely voided his legitimacy. But they didn't do it on purpose. They didn't do it because of their investigative prowess was focused on the Uyghur Tribunal. They really wanted to figure out what the truth was. No, they were trying to add to the charade, and by doing so, they actually ended up undermining it. Not that anyone in their audience will notice, but let's just let Wolf Blitzer kind of tee this up for us before we get into it.
For the first time, CNN has interviewed a former member of Chinese security forces who tells CNN he was routinely ordered to arrest and torture Uyghur detainees in truly horrific and barbaric ways. China denies accusations from the United States that it has detained up to 2 million Uyghurs, many of them Muslim, in a system of modern-day internment camps in the Xinjiang region in northwestern China. CNN's Ivan Watson brings us these disturbing new revelations, and we want to warn our viewers, it contains graphic descriptions of violence and sexual assault.
They would touch the electric stick here, and it's just like burning.
This is the story of a victim and a self-confessed torturer.
Did the police officers use electric batons to shock prisoners?
Yes, everyone uses different methods.
For years, stories of...
Okay, so you see they have two people in this exclusive interview that CNN did. Well, I don't know what they mean by exclusive. Maybe this is the first time CNN interviewed these people, but this is not the first time people have seen these so-called witnesses. Both of them actually took part in the Uyghur Tribunal. And actually, if you go to their article and you scroll down, they have the alleged former police officer. They have this activist who claims he was tortured. And there's this guy who wasn't in the video, but all three of them were at the Uyghur Tribunal. They all gave written and spoken statements at the Uyghur Tribunal. So what is this? And if you look at the CNN article, they don't even mention the Uyghur Tribunal one time. So this is like a sideshow done almost kind of independently of the Uyghur Tribunal, but obviously meant to buttress the narrative that the Uyghur Tribunal is trying to push. And it's a lot like how you design a ship with watertight compartments. So if one springs a leak and fills up with water, the whole ship doesn't sink. This is kind of what they're doing with their narrative. They're compartmentalizing it and protecting it. If the Uyghur Tribunal gets exposed as a U.S. government-funded propaganda operation, CNN didn't taint their own little sideshow by connecting it to the tribunal. So that's one possibility. But why don't we do this? Why don't we just fast forward straight to the most important sentence in the entire video CNN put together? Let's listen.
CNN cannot independently confirm Zhang's allegations.
Let's listen to that
CNN
again.
cannot independently confirm Zhang's allegations.
CNN cannot independently verify his allegations. They don't know if he's really a police officer. They don't know if he was ever in Xinjiang, and they don't know what he saw or did in Xinjiang. And what CNN does is they interview him. They get him to say all of these horrible things, but all of these horrible things that he says to CNN directly contradicts what he told the Uyghur Tribunal back in June 7, 2021. This CNN piece was posted in early October 2021. So they're saying they cannot verify it, but they could have verified it if they were real journalists. They could have cross-referenced what he was telling them more recently as part of this story that they published in October. They could have cross-referenced that with his testimony in June, but apparently they didn't. But what I'm about to show you are the two major claims he makes to CNN. And then following each claim, I will show you what he said to the Uyghur Tribunal in June. And you tell me if these stories match up or not. Let's watch and listen.
For the very first time, CNN has spoken to a former Chinese police officer who claims his job was to arrest and extract confessions from ethnic Uyghurs in Xinjiang.
In the prisons were there rooms, interrogation rooms without cameras for these political and religious prisoners?
Okay. Well, I didn't participate the process of these interrogation.
Zhang, the police officer who fled China, describes in graphic detail methods of sexual torture that he says police officers used.
If you want people to confess, you use the electric baton. We would tie 2 electrical wires on the tips and set the wires on their genitals while the person is tied up. The result is better.
He also says police sometimes ordered prisoners to sexually assault detainees.
We call it an in-prison investigation.
Did you witness any sexual harassment or rape against the prisoners?
Well, it is a topic that I never liked to discuss, therefore I never made any inquiry regarding this.
Okay, and obviously the woman's voice you were hearing was the translator translating for him during the tribunal. So case closed. On one hand, he's saying he was interrogating and torturing people. On the other, he said he wasn't even doing interrogations. And if you watch the entire statement during the tribunal, he even says that it was at another facility that he had nothing to do with. And then he's claiming he was taking part and witnessed all of this sexual abuse and rape. And then on the other hand, he's saying he didn't think about it. He never so much as even asked about it. So these are two stories. One of them has to be a lie. They can't both be true. And they could both possibly be lies. And so this is what CNN has done. They have cut the legs out from under his testimony at the Uyghur Tribunal and completely eliminated his legitimacy. You could just scratch him off as any sort of credible source of information about what is going on in Xinjiang, China. Now, I plan on doing a couple of videos about this. I want to get Jerry Gray on. He lives in China. He has been to Xinjiang and he has a law enforcement background. I want to get his thoughts on what this alleged police officer said, certain aspects of what he was saying about Xinjiang, about police work, etc. And he has experience in China and has probably taken his law enforcement background from the West and compared and contrasted what he saw in China. So that'll be really interesting. And then I would like to do a reaction video about all of the testimony Mr. Zhang gave to the Uyghur Tribunal, because there are a lot of inconsistencies. Even during the tribunal, there were a lot of inconsistencies. And then when you add it to what he said to CNN, the entire thing sinks. So what I'm thinking is a reaction video of both the whole CNN video and the Uyghur Tribunal testimony that he gave on June 7, 2021. So until then, thank you for watching. If you thought the video was useful, please like and share it. Think about subscribing. It's free to do. It helps the channel grow. I have a website, newatlas.report. It's right here. And all of my articles and videos are posted here regularly. There is no paywall, there are no ads, and there never will be. If I ever get kicked off of YouTube, I can still embed videos on that website from other video sharing platforms. So newatlas.report, please bookmark it and share it. In the video description below, all of the links that I used and referenced during this video, they're down there, so please check those out. I'll even put a link in so you can watch his testimony in front of the Uyghur Tribunal if you want to. And there's also ways where you can help support my work. To everyone who has been supporting my work, whether it's through Patreon, month to month, or one-time donations, or even if you're just liking and sharing my work, all of this helps tremendously. I could not do this work without that help. So thank you. And as always, thank you for watching.